ChatGPT is taking the world by storm. Figuring out the best techniques to use this technology is super important because it's changing every day. So now get ready to learn these 7 writing secrets when using ChatGPT in order to generate much better results. Now, secret number 1 is to have concise inputs. In order to have ChatGPT generate you accurate answers, you need to be concise with your words and your phrases. For example, if I had a prompt in ChatGPT that said, write a blog about why candy is bad for you, then it might not generate the perfect blog you're looking for. Now, there is a way to make this so much better, and you don't only have to apply it to when you're making blog posts, but you can apply it to all of your ChatGPT prompts. If you used a prompt setup like this instead, your answers would be much more concise, and they would also be a lot more descriptive. When you use adjectives in these specific words describing what you want, it can help ChatGPT generate more of the style that you're looking for. So let's fill out this template prompt in order to get a much better input for the blog post. So for length here, something we could do is put 500 words, especially if we're talking about a blog post. Next, we have to describe what kind of blog do we want it to be. Let's say we want this to be a scary blog. So now this is already sounding much better. We have write a 500-word scary blog. So it's describing how long we want the blog. This will help ChatGPT determine the length. And then we give a descriptive word of how do we want this blog to be? What's kind of the main theme of the blog? Well, we want the blog to be scary. Now we need to give this a topic. For the topic, I chose why candy is bad for you. So write a 500-word scary blog about why candy is bad for you in a what kind of tone do we want here? So now we can replace this first tone with a certain tone we want throughout the blog. Let's say we want this to be in a professional tone, so we can kind of be that scary professional scientist telling the audience why is candy bad for you. So now I'm going to send it off so we can compare these two responses. As you can see, the first blog post is not that engaging, and there isn't really a set style. It's just kind of plain text that isn't that engaging to the viewer. Now the second blog post is much more fun to read. It's descriptive, it has a style throughout the entire blog. This is just touching the surface of what you can do when you're more concise with your inputs. ChatGPT secret number 2 is to change your temperature settings. Now you might be asking yourself, what do you mean temperature settings? I thought we were talking about AI, not thermostats. But what if I told you that you can change how creative the responses are with ChatGPT? Let me show you what I'm talking about. So at the beginning of my prompt, it starts out as a normal prompt. Write 2 sentences about why Iron Man is superior to Captain America. Keep the tone fun and amusing, but then at the end here, we add with a temperature of 0.1. Now with my knowledge on the temperature scale, it goes from 0.1 to 0.99. Now on the low end of the scale, around 0.1, these answers will typically be a little bit more conservative, while if you go up to a 0.9, ChatGPT gets much more creative. So anything in between that range adjusts how creative your responses will be with ChatGPT. And I'm going to show you an example of how this works in action. So now we are going to send off the first prompt with a temperature of 0.1. And it reads, Iron Man's got that sleek suit with all the high-tech gadgets, leaving Captain America feeling a bit red, white, and blue in the face. Plus, Tony Stark's got the charisma to charm a room, while Cap's still working on his language. And now we are going to copy and paste this exact same sentence, except we are going to change the temperature to 0.9, and let's see the difference in responses. We're going to send it off. And this sentence reads, Iron Man rockets past Captain America, fueled by a mind-blowing fusion of brainpower and bling, while Cap's shield can only cling in admiration. So already you can see that this is much more impactful, this is much more creative than using a temperature of 0.1 compared to the temperature of 0.9. So it's awesome with these temperature settings because it's like you have your own little slider control of how creative do you want this prompt to be. I've just recently found this out and I'm going to be using it a lot more to make my writing skills better with ChatGPT. Writing secret number 3 is to change your style. ChatGPT is pretty well versed when it comes to authors, celebrities, and artists. So if you have a certain style of music or writing that you like, then be sure to include that in your prompts. Let me show you a quick example. So right here, I've typed out the prompt, write a 15-second rap song about brushing your teeth in the style of Drake. I used Drake the rapper because I thought it was appropriate since my name is Drake. And we are going to send this off. And what it's going to do is write out a 15-second rap song about brushing your teeth in the style that Drake would use in his songs. So they start off even by saying, yo, it's Drizzy Drake, never late to clean my plate. Then it continues, twice a day brush away, keep decay at bay, I say. So when looking at this prompt, if you've ever heard Drake rap before, try to listen to this in Drake's voice, and it actually seems like something that he might sing in one of his songs. And just to show you how changing the style works, what I'm going to do is copy and paste this prompt. Instead of Drake, I'm going to put Eminem. So Eminem is another rapper, and what it's going to do is completely change the style, because I've now included Eminem instead of Drake. So I'm going to send it off. And as you can see, it even replaces this with Yo, it's Slim Shady, another name of Eminem, which is very cool. Now, writing rap songs in the style of certain artists is just touching the surface of what you can do when you're changing the style. Let's say that you like poetry. Well, then you can write a poem in the style of Shakespeare, for example, and it will change and adapt to that certain style that you add. So any poet that's well known that ChatGPT could discover, well, that's the style that it will change it to, and this is very powerful if you like a certain style of writing. Secret number 4 is to explain this to a child. Are you ever struggling to read an article, or you can't understand a complicated email from your boss? Well, fear no longer, because ChatGPT can explain this to you as if you were a child. I find this very helpful when I'm dealing with confusing text, or I'm trying to understand a particular subject, but I just can't get my head around it. So let me show you an example of how I use this in action. I got this paragraph from an article on Forbes. And if you aren't into the cryptocurrency space, this could be a little bit difficult to understand. Or let's say you're new to cryptocurrency and you don't know what any of this means. What you can do is at the beginning of any line of complicated text or any article of complicated text, you can copy and paste that into ChatGPT and then click your cursor to the beginning of the prompt. Next, type explain this to a child, and then put a colon and hit space. And now what ChatGPT is going to do is it's going to take in all of this information and it's going to explain it as if it were talking to a child. So it's going to make this verbiage very easy to understand. I'm going to send it off. And after it's done generating, it explains this very well and it talks to you like you are a 5-year-old. So it starts off by saying, okay, kiddo, you know, it kind of adds that childish effect to the rest of this output. And it explains this very well. Instead of using decentralized medium, it says with cryptocurrencies, there's no one big boss or building like a bank to control it. And then it uses the word digital piggy bank, so it kind of ties into that child theme. This is one of my favorite writing techniques actually, because it can quickly help me decipher information and gain knowledge on any subject very quickly. Secret number 5 is to be more human-like. And I know that might come off as a little bit strange, but you need to be more human-like in your inputs. ChatGPT has been trained on millions of human conversations, so when you talk to this language model like you're talking to one of your friends, that is what it's going to generate the best responses, because that's what it's been trained on. And you can see the fact that it's been trained on human conversations just by having a normal conversation like this. Hey there, what should I eat for dinner? I'm struggling. What types of food I want? Going to send it off, and it says, hello, I'd be happy to help you decide what to eat for dinner. So it says first, think about what type of cuisine you want, and then it says, what are you in the mood for? And it goes through this entire list of what I should eat for dinner, and all I did was ask it a simple question like I was talking to a human. Secret number 6 is output formatting. A lot of people get upset when ChatGPT does not generate the right output in its responses. For example, many people use ChatGPT in order to write their blogs, but then they find that it won't generate the headings, subheadings, bullet points, numbered lists, etc. So this next writing secret is going to help you save a ton of time and make your content much better. Not only if you write content for a living, but also when you're asking questions and want to get specific output formatting. So I have this pretty boring message down here. Write a 250-word blog about why the sky is blue. I'm going to send it off, and now we're going to let this generate. And after it's done generating, it gives us this nice blog, and it does give us a title, but everything else is kind of just free-floating information. But what if we wanted headers and we wanted bullet points to describe useful and important information in this blog post? Well, what we could do is a simple input in order to help this. Instead of just writing, write a 250-word blog about why the sky is blue, above that you could include guidelines for writing. And within the guidelines for writing brackets, what you can do is you can include all of the output formatting that you desire. So instead of just this boring blog, what I want included is bolded headings and subheadings, and also bullet lists to organize specific information. What we're going to do now is send it off to see the comparisons between these two outputs. As you can see now, this is a very, very beautiful blog post. We have headers, we have bullet points to separate the useful information, and compared to this, it's just a lot more enjoyable to read just because we've added specific guidelines for writing in order to produce better and more efficient output formatting. Secret number 7 is to generate image diagrams within ChatGPT. If you're struggling to understand a certain subject, what you can do is use AI images powered by ChatGPT in order to draft diagrams for you to better understand this. So I have this huge prompt typed out here, and I actually got this link from somebody on Reddit. So if you want this prompt to use on your own, what you can do is go down to my link in the description and hit their Reddit post. It will be linked. I don't want to take credit for this because I did not find this out, but I wanted to share it because I think it's very cool. So since ChatGPT is in Markdown, it has the ability to generate images, and I was pretty amazed when I first saw this because I had no idea that ChatGPT could do this. So down here, I'm just going to type in my prompt on what I want images for. So what I've typed in is generate a step-by-step list for opening a bank account with diagrams provided for each step. And with the use of this wonderful input, what I can do is I can send this off, and ChatGPT is going to completely generate images and a step-by-step list for how to open a bank account. So these are completely AI generated images as well, so they're not going to be spelled right, of course, but there are some instances where you could use this where you need pictured diagrams in order to just better understand it. Some people are visual learners, so when they see stuff like this, it might help them a little bit. Now, I don't think this would necessarily help you when it comes to speaking with a bank representative, but if you were doing something like construction, or if you were doing framing or something along those lines, then having these useful images generating with a step-by-step list might be pretty helpful during that process. Now, as you can see, this just goes off. It gives us a diagram using pollinations.ai, and this is a wonderful way to generate pictures using ChatGPT. So now I've asked it a little bit different of a prompt. I'm going to ask it to create a step-by-step guide for framing a 12 by 15 bedroom with diagrams for each step. So let's see if these images are a little bit more useful than the bank account example. I'm going to send it off. So already this is looking much better than the bank example. It's giving me a supply list. It's giving me kind of useful pictures. And once this has the ability to actually understand and lay out overhead diagrams like this for a 12 by 15 room, this is going to be absolutely insane. It's now telling me to build the floor frame, and it's generated this AI picture of a floor frame, which is absolutely wild. Next, it tells me to build the wall frames, and it has generated this completely from AI. So this picture has never been seen before. It's generated this for my specific situation. And next, it's telling me to raise the walls and position them on the floor frame. So it's showing a picture of that. So the last tip was kind of a neat workaround, and I hope that you can use that in order to better your writing skills, using it to explain things better for you. If this tutorial has helped you, please drop a like and hit that subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this. Also, comment your feedback, or if you have any other writing secrets that I didn't touch on this list, then I would love to learn from you as well. Alright, we'll see you in the next one.